And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Always Pressing PGA DFS podcast. Took a little week off as there was something called golf in New Orleans, but not sure quite what it turned out to be. But the PGA is back this week at the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. Before we break it down, let me introduce my co-host. As always, you can find him on Twitter at BPSnow11 Bucks. How we doing, man?
Doing really well. Thanks for having me back, Bubba. Played a charity event today with Kenny Kim from Fantasy Golf Degenerates, so it was an awesome day.
Good stuff. And out of the great state of Kentucky, you can find on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. Jesse, how we doing, man?
Well, did you mention that because it's Kentucky Derby week, so that way people start hitting me up for my Derby bets?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's part of the degenerate nation here, so they're going to be hitting you up for sure.
Every little known fact: everybody in the state of Kentucky is a horse racing expert this week.
Yes, obviously, you guys know how to do all the proper racing on grass, on dirt, the whole thing. We know how it works. You guys, do you have any of those goofy ass hats too?
No.
Okay, good. I didn't think you would, but I had to ask. Before we get started, we don't have a big fan share recap as always because we're not recapping anything because, like I said, it's been a couple weeks. But they do have a lot of new features. Jesse started his article a couple weeks ago, kind of recapping the perfect lineups of the week and what, ownership-wise on that respect. At BHacks2, I believe, on Twitter, started his new thing this week as well. There's a much more. They have continued content coming down the line. I probably missed a few things, honestly, not even on purpose. I just been out of the loop the last week or so, but talking with their guys, and Jesse might know more. But there's a lot coming on with FanShare, so keep an eye on that and go check them out. A lot of good ownership stuff, and now really good content to go with the ownership. And you guys might know you can actually export into lineups now, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So lots of cool stuff going on with FanShare and very reasonably priced for an outfit like that. Well, let's get into the Wells Fargo Championship. Lots of big-time players here. It's a good-looking field, and last year hosted the PGA Championship, so it got changed around. But Jess, do you want to give us some past event history with the Wells Fargo?
Yeah, since the PGA Championship was held there last year, the Wells Fargo moved to Eagle Point Golf Club, and so they held the PGA Championship, which, of course, Justin Thomas won last year. So 2017's winner doesn't really matter. It was at Eagle Point Golf Club. It was Brian Harmon. Since then, so 2003 to 2016, it's been held at Quail Hollow. But they did do some renovations on it, I think around like 2015, and they did some more renovations on it for the PGA Championship last year. So whether or not any of this matters, I don't know. But one way or the other, James Hahn, 2016 champion, Rory McIlroy, 2015, J.B. Holmes, Eric Ernst, Ricky Fowler is a past champion here, and Lucas Glover is also a past champion here. So Rory's actually won it twice. There's a lot of big names won this deal, and Eric Ernst.
Yeah, a lot of big deals. And Rory was the favorite at the PGA last year because of his history. We know how that ended up, but could be a little different this year. Bucks, why don't you give us a course preview on how it's going to play this week?
Yeah, so this week is going to be really interesting. I think this week, more than most other weeks, is a bit of an unknown. I think we have, and the reason I say that is because in 2016, I mean, immediately, like the next day after Quail Hollow ended for the Wells Fargo, they started doing course renovations to get prepared for the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. And so this year they are back at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo, but it's a completely different golf course. The PGA, we saw Bermuda greens, we saw really, really difficult rough. We saw just shots that really weren't what we were expecting to see. And so the PGA Championship was the most difficult golf course of the year by far, by more than half a stroke. Proximity to the rough was by far the most difficult that we saw all year. And I think a large part of that is because Quail Hollow went through renovations. They went from bent grass to Bermuda. This is the first year we're going to see the Wells Fargo as a bent grass course. And a lot of people are talking about the correlation between the PGA Championship and this year's event. You can't think about it like that because it's two completely separate golf courses. One, the PGA Championship last year was in August. This event obviously is in May. The grass is still dormant. The Bermuda is still dormant. So it's going to play completely different. And the bent grass here is overseeded by a ryegrass. And so it's going to play completely different. The course in itself is still 7,600 yards. It's long. But it's going to play much, much softer than we are expected to see compared to what we saw last year at the PGA Championship. So 7,600 yards, yeah, that's incredibly long. But the greens are going to hold better than we saw last year at the PGA Championship. With that being said, you still have some really difficult golf holes. I mean, you have the Green Mile, which is 16, 17, 18. You have a really long, difficult par 4. 16th, a long, really hard par 3. 17th, that plays 205 yards with the water hugging the left side. And then the 18th is one of the hardest golf holes you're going to see all year. And so while it's going to play easier than last year at the PGA Championship, it's still a difficult test of golf. You have to have a strong overall game. You have to have a really strong short game. And you really have to find a player, and Jesse's going to get into this in a minute, you really have to find a player that is consistent, can avoid bogeys, can take advantage of the holes where he puts himself in good position. You can't have a guy that just beats it around the golf course and gets up and down. I mean, it's a golf course where you have to play really, really good golf. You have to play consistently, and you have to take advantage of the situations that you're in. So it's going to be a really good test of golf. I said on my write-up this morning, I think the winning score is going to be around 14, 15 under, and the cut line is going to be around 2 over.
Yeah, no, they're definitely saying it's not going to be nearly as hard, but reading a couple other articles are saying it's going to be like the greens will be a little faster than a 12 on the stump, which is more than most PGA greens, so they will be quick, like you were saying. And
Absolutely.
Kevin, at Kevin's Delight, who was one of the pros there for a long, long time, he lives right next to the course, or real close to the course. He said, like you said, it's not completely set up for the PGA Championship. The grass, the ryegrass are going to be different, but he said just be careful that it's going to still play fast and firm, and it's not as much a bomber's course like it used to be. You still have to, it's more like precision, like you were saying. So if you're not accurate, it's still going to burn you for certain aspects of the game because it's so fast and firm. It'll roll out of places and get you in trouble. So he said
absolutely.
definitely play very, very smart off the tee, or you will be in trouble. So, because like the narrative used to be with the old Wells Fargo, just bombs away and just go. But
yeah, absolutely. And if you're not following Kevin at Kevin's Delight, do so, because the guy is super intelligent when it comes to golf. Does a great job with baseball as well. But yeah, he lives down near Quail Hollow, so he has a ton of insight there.
Yeah, he says the course is in great shape. Should be a beautiful weekend there. And speaking of that, the weather looks great. Maybe a little cloudy over the weekend, but overall, good conditions, and we should, knock on wood, not have any problems this week to really worry about. Jesse, what are some of the key stats you'll be targeting this week at Quail?
Just to kind of piggyback off what you guys were just talking about, I've been to Quail Hollow. It's the second nicest golf course I've ever been to, with the first being Augusta National. So it's up there in shape, and it'll be in great shape this year. For this week, concentrate on greens and regulation. I do think driving distance still factors in, bogey avoidance, but also birdie or better. And then course history matters this week too, even though it's not the same exact course. It's not enough to, I think, completely discount it. I won't weight it as much as I usually would, but 75-25 instead of closer to 50-50.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you, Bucks? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, for me, so I reviewed what we did last year for the PGA Championship, and I do think it's a little different. I still think there's a premium on bogey avoidance, on the short game, that kind of thing. But really, I think there is a premium on keeping the ball in play, giving yourself opportunities to score well. And with the scoring, in my mind, going to be lower than the PGA Championship, I do think bogey avoidance is very, very key. But I'm still going to target those guys that can get streaky hot. We saw it last year with Justin Thomas and some others where even during the PGA Championship, they went on runs where they were just super hot. And Justin Thomas, I think, was 5 under his last 12 holes, something like that. But in general, this golf course is one of those that you would typically consider to be if you make par, that's a good score. With this event, I'm targeting the guys with overall performance, bogey avoidance. Par 5 scoring for me is going to be big. While there are a limited number of par 5s, I still believe that you have to have the guys that are crushing the par 5 scoring to keep the par 4 scoring in balance. Because the par 4 scoring, with as difficult as the back 9 is, and specifically the Green Mile, you have to have a par 4 scoring. And so, for me, bogey avoidance, recent form, scrambling, those type of things are the key stats that I am focusing on. And then, honestly, strokes gained overall, total performance, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys like usual on these. I think par 5 scoring, that was what I was really, really looking at, and you hit that one on the head. Par 5 scoring, not just because you said there's only 3 par 5s, but these holes are so big and the length of the course, like you mentioned, you can almost, obviously you're not playing those long par 4s like a par 5, but it's a way to kind of say if these guys can score on these, they can attack those par 4s a little more than others. So
yeah, exactly.
I look at that bogey avoidance, the usuals, as you guys nailed them as always. Now let's get into what everybody's wanting to hear, the DraftKings picks for the week. Let's talk over 10K. We got McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, and Jason Day as the 4 guys over 10K. Jesse, who are you looking at here?
It's a loaded field, man. I mean, this is one of the best fields, and it's fun to come back to this field versus like the last couple tournaments that we've had. And obviously we got the Players next week, so completely loaded. Up top, my favorite play, and I don't think that this is going to be unpopular or sneaky. It's Justin Thomas. I mean, he's probably the best golfer in the world right now, and coming off a victory the last time they played here. The only guy that I really don't like in the region is Day. And I kind of see some reasons to play him, but I think I would rather have the other 3 being Ricky, Rory, and JT. Day's course history is pretty good. He's got 3 straight top 9s at this golf course, or 2 straight top 9s at this golf course with a 22nd thrown in there. But I think I would rather chance it on the other 3 with JT being my number 1 up top, and probably who I will have the most of the 4.
Nice. What are you looking at up top here, Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really solid range as normal. And for the most part, and you guys know this, and most of the listeners know this, I try to fade the 5-digit guys. So the 10K, 11K, 12K guys, I try to avoid for the most part. But with that being said, I love Rory McIlroy this week. I think he has shown flashes this year of playing really, really fantastic golf. He So this year, if you look at Rory McIlroy, he has hit the ball really well. For the most part, he's putted mediocre at best. He had one good tournament where he putted lights out. Quail Hollow is a really difficult golf course to putt on. And so I think that helps Rory because he's been hitting the ball so well. I think that even if he has a mediocre week putting, he's still gaining an advantage on the field. And so while he is by far the most expensive golfer, I think that he has the best chance to win of anybody up here. And Jesse, Bubba, you guys know this, the most expensive golfer is always, or at least most of the time, the lower-owned guy in this range. And so if you give me a Rory McIlroy at 12% ownership or under, I'm all about it. So I love Rory this week. Jesse, I do like Jay this week, but I don't know if his game is in shape to handle Quail Hollow. Rory, I believe in. I think that his ownership's at the right price, and I think the putting is going to work in his advantage. But other than that, I really typically avoid this range.
Yeah, no, I usually avoid this range as well. The last couple of weeks, I've been in the 9s and the 8s for the most part, and 5 of 6 is cashed for me, and it's been fine. Nothing major cashing, but cashing's cashing. But if I am going up top here, I do like Justin Thomas quite a bit. There aren't many guys on tour that are playing better than him. He's second in par 5 scoring, 5th in strokes gained tee to green, and he rates out well in most other categories at 11-3. I can definitely get behind JT in this tournament. I agree with what you said, Bucks, on McIlroy. I don't hate it. It's just a guy that I never get right, and if he wins it, more power to him. But if I go up here, and I probably won't, it'll be with Justin Thomas at 11-3.
It's so hard. I mean, you're right. It is so hard to trust Rory at that price, but I think at 12% ownership or under, it's super hard for me to fade that.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. Let's get into the 9K range. We got 5 golfers to choose from. The Masters champion, Patrick Reed, making his return to the PGA Tour. Matsuyama, Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and Tommy Fleetwood. Bucks, kick us off in the 9K.
Yeah, I mean, I freaking love this range. And it's hard not to. I mean, Pat Reed, this is a golf course that if I had to say suit somebody's style of play, it suits his style of play. A lot of dog legs, and Patrick Reed loves to work the ball right to left. He can work it left to right if you really want him to, but Patty Reed loves working it. And then you have Matsuyama, Mickelson, Tiger Woods, Matsuyama, Fleetwood, Casey, gets in the 8K range. But for me, if I had to choose 2 guys, I would choose Mickelson, who I think has had, and you guys might know the exact number, but I think he's had like 14 or 10 top 12 finishes, something like that. The dude loves this golf course.
He's got 9 top 10s, 14 of 14 cuts.
Yeah, I mean, the guy loves this golf course. He loves the way that it suits his eye off the tee. So I love Phil. If I had to choose one guy on the entire slate to play, it would be Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Not only does he love this golf course, but he's been playing phenomenal all year long, better than he has in years. Yep. And so I love Phil Mickelson. Obviously, I'm never going to shy away from Tiger Woods. Love him, whatever. But I do love Tommy Fleetwood, the new PC, as Jesse would call him. I do love Tommy Fleetwood. The guy's been playing phenomenal golf. He loves shaping the ball. And he's just a solid overall player, and that's what you're looking for at this event. So those are the guys that I would think. Oh, what are you looking at, Jesse?
Yeah, it's you know, it's like, you know, you can pick these guys apart. This is good pricing in this range, even though there's only 5 guys. Tommy Fleetwood's my favorite play up to 5. I can't hardly do it, but Patrick Reed is in play, even if it's $9,700, and I hate that worse than just about anything, Bubba.
Yep, I'm with you, buddy.
So those are the two. I think Hideki might be sneaky. He's actually been hitting a lot better recently, so for a large field GPP, I would maybe sneak a team or two with Hideki in there.
Well, Hideki's always that GPP guy. I never get him right, so I never play him, and I shit all over him. But he is a good golfer. There's a reason why he's always priced up in this range.
Right.
So if you're building a bunch of lineups, yes, do not leave him out because he is a guy at any given moment can be top 10 in it, top 5, even winning a competition. No questions asked. And eventually he's going to that tear he was on a couple of years ago. Eventually he's going to revisit that, and we're all going to sit back and go, okay, here he is. He's back. Like it's coming eventually. So whenever it does, it won't be surprising. It'll be more tilting because it finally happened. My guy's in the 9K. Yes, everything you said about Patrick Reed, Jesse. Yes, that was the first guy I wrote down, not just because he was the highest priced. Because I think the fact he is priced up there, the break off the Masters. A lot of people don't want to play a guy off the Masters. He really stands out as intriguing to me at $9,700. As you guys said, this course it actually matches up for him pretty well. So I do like him at 97 bucks, 100% on board with the Phil Mickelson take. I looked at everything that he had going on, and I'm like, $9,200. This has to be chalk. So I want to keep updated on this one throughout the week. But I love Phil this week. He is one of my core players, indeed. Definitely love him. And then Fleetwood at 9K. First time here is a little tilting, but it's the new PC. So we will definitely be looking more into him because he stands out the way he's playing, and he's when he came over to America this year, he kind of up and down roller coaster. He's been a lot more consistent the last few weeks, but definitely looking at PC at 9,000. Jumping into the 8K range, we got Casey Usti, Finau, Brooks Koepka's first tour event. New Orleans doesn't count. Moore, Simpson, Kisner, Henley, Noren, Berger, and DeChambeau. It's a really good $8,000 field. I'll go real quick here, and it's kind of ironic that $100 cheaper than the new PC is PC. And Paul Casey is definitely on my radar this week. Miscut his last time out. But coming into that, he's been playing really, really well. He's got a pretty good history his last couple times playing at this course, and it is definitely a new version of Paul Casey. So I like him at $8,900. Webb Simpson, if you've been living under a rock, it's Webb Simpson week, as this is his home course. This is Buck's time. We already mentioned Kevin. Kevin, if you want stories, ask Kevin. Kevin has played golf with Webb Simpson on this course, and he can tell you all about him. But Webb at 84, this is the best golf I've seen him play in a long, long time. So he's on the radar. And then Daniel Berger at 8,000, coming in really, really good form, and he does play well at this course. But $8,000, I think it's a bit of a discount for a guy that, if he's not spraying his driver, if he's being accurate with off the tee, he can be very, very dangerous at this course. So the three that I like are Casey, Simpson, and Berger. Jesse, who you liking in the 8Ks?
Yeah, PC, I don't know what's going on with him, but he obviously had the one good round at the Masters, or he had a good weekend at the Masters, I guess, and then just played awful at the Heritage. Totally different golf course, obviously, but just wasn't hitting greens. The short game wasn't there, except for the putting saved him a little bit. He still missed the cut. So I don't know how much PC I'll have. I do like Louis Oosthuizen a lot. Second at the PGA Championship last year, coming off a 12th as well at the Masters, playing very good golf. Tony Finau is another guy who I do like. Three straight cuts made at this golf course, coming off a 10th at the Masters with a broken ankle or whatever the hell happened to his ankle. Ryan Moore, I think, is a good pivot off of Webb. If it's going to be Webb chalk week, I'd rather have a lot more than I would Webb, just because I'm a never Webb guy. And then lastly, at 8,000, DeChambeau. I've heard his name floated around a little bit. He's a guy that I'll be keeping an eye on as far as ownership goes. But 2 top 3s in his last 3 starts on tour. So he's trending definitely in the right direction. And he's just got that funky game that just suits certain golf courses, and this could be one. So I'll keep my eye on his ownership.
Nice. Bucks, what are you looking at in the $8,000?
Yeah, man. I love this range. I mean, one, you have – honestly, I don't know why Paul Casey is $8,900, because the dude is super solid, has a win this year.
Mm-hmm.
He should be in that 9K range. But I do love Paul Casey this week, as I do every week. A couple other guys I like. You guys have already mentioned it several times. Yes, I am a Webb Simpson lover, a fanatic. But for this golf course, this is one of the most difficult golf courses we play all year when you're putting inside 10 feet. Webb Simpson is a really, really good putter this year inside 10 feet. So he's going to hit it in play, and if he gives himself chances, he's going to make putts. And so I obviously love Webb Simpson again this week. Even if I didn't like Webb Simpson this week, I was going to play him. He's a brand player. I'm gonna play him every week. But honestly, though, this course suits his game. He's a good putter on a difficult golf course to putt on, so I do like Webb. In the 8K range, though, outside of Webb, you do have Berger, DeChambeau, Noren, Henley, Kisner, those kind of guys. If I had to choose one other guy in this range, and again, I think this is going to be a super chalk pick, but I love Alex Noren. The guy's really consistent, can make birdies in waves, and that's the guy you're kind of looking for here. Like you want a guy that's fairly consistent, but has a chance to kind of go off. And Noren kind of fits that mold. You have a guy that's made 11 plus cuts this year in this season, which is just incredible. So I love Noren. $8,100 is super cheap for that guy. And I think because of that price, he's going to be chalk, but I'm fine eating chalk like that if I believe in him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's move on to the absolutely loaded, as usual, 7K range. And Jesse, kick us off with a handful of guys you like down here.
Yeah, there's so much value down here. It's either going to go one way. It's either going to go all to the same guy, or it's going to be spread out pretty evenly, so you don't have to worry about it as much. But the $7,400 range is pretty ridiculous. Starting up top at $7,800, James Hahn, previous winner here, coming off the 13th last year, PGA Championship, and he didn't miss the cut at the Heritage. Like I said, totally different golf course. Doesn't concern me very much at all, but that might scare a few people off. So he's in play. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I think he is in play just because of the past champion. He's only $7,800. Two guys that I really like this week, one being Sam Burns at $7,500. He's actually top of my model. He's been playing a lot of web.com, but he's been hitting a lot of greens. He did win a web.com event on the 3-4 weeks ago. He's been hitting almost 80% of his greens, so huge fan of him at this price. And I think also, too, he will go overlooked with the guys below him, which we'll talk about more in just a second. Chesson Hadley, another guy just playing really steady, good golf right now. Finished 11th here in the 2016 Wells Fargo at this golf course. 20th at the Texas Open, 7th before that. So just playing steady golf. Of the guys in the $7,400 range, you can pretty much make a team here. And actually, Kevin said that he would just make a team in this range, which I think is totally doable. And there potentially could be the winner here in this range. A lot of value. Luke List is one. Francisco Molinari, it pains me to say it, but he finished second at the PGA Championship.
Embrace the pain.
He's in play, I guess. I don't know how much of him I'll have. I think my favorite two plays, though, at $7,400, because I think they'll be the lowest owned, is Adam Hadwin being one. I know he missed the cut at the PGA Championship. It doesn't have great course history, but he's been playing a whole heck of a lot better here recently. Tyrell Hatton is another guy who everybody hates. So I'll jump back on him. And then two more down low, Rory Sabatini. He's got pretty good course history here if you throw out a few of his missed cuts, like the fact that he's missed cut more than he's made it. But if he makes it, he's 8th or 3rd. So, he's a super deep GPP flyer kind of thing if you're looking down this range. And last but not least, Denny McCarthy. Never played here, but just trending in the right direction. Gets it going off the tee and hitting a bunch of greens in regulation. I know your boy Bucks, but I do like him of these guys down here. And I mean, it's loaded. You can go on and on, but those are the few that I'll highlight there.
Yeah, what are you looking at, Bucks, out of this massive pool of 7,000?
Yeah, there's 14 million guys in this range. And honestly, a lot of the guys in this range this week are super value, in my opinion. You could have an entire team in the 7K range as a GPP lineup and feel comfortable about your spot. Like, it's insane. Like Jesse mentioned, you start up at James Hahn, who's a previous winner, and he has been playing well. So you like that. And then my brand player, Benyon, at 7,600, been playing decent golf and due to break out sometime. And so I like him. Moving down the board, I mean, mid-7, 7,400 yards, you got Molinari, Haddon, Hadwin, Woodland, Schauffele. I mean, that's insane value in that range. I mean, I would not flinch if you had them in the upper 8s, lower 9s. I mean, especially Woodland, Hadwin, Schauffele. They've all been there. That's insane value. But moving past that, I think the one guy that really, really surprised me, and honestly, I think it is a play. And I played golf with Kenny Kim from the Fantasy Golf Degenerates today, and we're both in agreement. $7,300 for Adam Scott is egregious.
It's ridiculous.
Egregious.
It's insulting.
Adam Scott is a ball striker. He is a phenomenal ball striker. He is a mediocre at best putter. You could even say he's a terrible putter.
I put him in the terrible category. I think mediocre's giving him a pretty good deal at this point.
Yeah. If you put him in the terrible category, I wouldn't disagree with you. He's a terrible putter. Quail Hollow.
I think I could putt better than him.
You might, yeah. But Quail Hollow is the most difficult course the entire year putting within 10, 15 feet. And so if you're giving Adam Scott a little leg up on the field because he is so bad from that range that he's actually being brought back to the field, give me his ball striking at $7,300 all day. It's egregious. I have never once in my entire career seen Adam Scott at this price. I am going to play him, and I'm going to play Adam Scott, and I will never look at Shot Tracker all the time. I can't look at him.
Because you're going to be tilted.
Exactly. He is going to miss a 3-footer. I promise. But
at least one, yes.
So are a lot of other guys.
Yep.
So Adam Scott, $7,300 is insane value. But in that same range, you have J.B. Holmes, Kokrak, Scott Brown, Johnny Vegas. It's just really good value down low. And then you have a guy like Kevin Streelman who's made 14 of 15 cuts. And that's the kind of guy you want here, the guy that can grind it out.
Yep.
But the last guy I mentioned down low, and I'm not sure if you have a reason or not to play him, but Patton Kazir, for some reason, I am gravitating towards him. I think that he is a solid ball striker. He just hasn't put it all together this year, and I think he starts to do so at Quail Hollow. I like Patton Kazir.
Yeah, like you guys said, there's so much in the 7K range. You could, like you guys said, make a lineup in the middle 7s. You can make a lineup like you guys are talking about. It's crazy. I'll just mention a couple here that you guys didn't. I like Brian Harmon quite a bit at $7,900.
Of course,
he looks like he's starting to really get back into form after kind of he had the hot start. You know, he might have worn himself out a little bit. We talked about it, and now he's really starting to click back into gear. So I do like that at $7,900. Bud Cauley at 77. That's a guy we like to talk about in the 7K range. That's usually, priced cheaper than he probably should be. So I do like him there. Benion's another guy you guys didn't mention, but he's coming in really good form. 2 top 15s or better in his last 3 events at 76. You guys mentioned Chesson Hadley already. Bo Hostler is a guy I like to target because he's always low owned and always seems to be there maybe doesn't finish strong, but he's always near the top of the leaderboard at some point in time, top 20 type finisher at 74. You mentioned Molly, Woodland, Scott. Somehow CH3 has played really, really well here. Someone to keep in mind. 10 of 14 cuts, including 2 top 10s. He's still kind of playing decent for being on the East Coast, which is rare for him. But 31 in strokes gained tee to green in this field. So 7,200 for CH3 is a nice little price tag. Sabatini, Streelman, Keith Mitchell, if he's accurate, could be really, really good here at 7,100. Brian Harkins at 7K, and then Nick Watney. I mention him every week, and he just continues to make cuts at 7,000. And he actually quasi contends, top 20, top 30 type stuff at $7,000. It's pretty darn outstanding. Plus, many of the guys you mentioned, I'm not going to mention them all, guys, because there are just ridiculous amounts of them. But that's kind of the guys I'm looking at for now in the 7K range. Definitely the 7K range, as loaded as it is one of the best reasons to have a fan share or something of that sort, because you can pivot off of a chalky guy real easily and get someone just as good, if not better. And that's how I think this is why you can kind of go chalkier up top and differentiate yourself here, because there's so many options. And that's something you can take a look at Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening when you lock in your lineups. That's something I'd highly recommend.
For sure.
I agree.
Let's head to the 6K range. It's not as bad as usual. I actually found 5 or 6 guys I wouldn't hate to take, don't want to take, but wouldn't hate to take. Bucks, kick us off in the 6Ks.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ranges that we as a group typically try to avoid, right?
Yep.
I mean, but this week I think you have some value down here, which makes it super easy to go stars and scrubs. Between the lower 7K range and the 6K range, I mean, I think that you're going to see a ton more stars and scrubs lineups this week, which is fine. I mean, you have $6,900. You got Paisley, who has been playing well. You got Yeager, who has been playing well. I like him. Vaughn Taylor. Lucas Glover is a guy that has played well all year long. Is a ball striker, and this is a golf course where you need to be a ball striker. So Lucas Glover is really, really good here. And then one of the guys that I like most of almost anybody in the field, and it's just because it's one of those new guys on tour. I happen to follow him around at the Masters during the practice round for about 9 holes, is Joaquin Niemann. The guy, and I can't say guy, the kid is really, really solid. He composes himself well on the golf course and is just a pure ball striker. He's almost at that age where, he doesn't know how stressful his life is. You look at a lot of these guys that have been grinding on tour for years, and, you can tell that they're, almost burnt out. He's just enjoying himself, and he's playing really, really good golf. And so I love Niemann this week at $6,800. He can make birdies and waves. He played well the last couple weeks. So, I mean, if you're going to go start in scrubs, I love Niemann this week. And then if you go a little further down, you have Lahiri, CT Pan, Seamus Powers, Matt Everett. I mean, you have a lot of guys that are, solid. But if I had to choose one guy from there, CT Pan is one of those guys that has been playing mediocre. You can't argue that he's been playing really good golf because he hasn't. But CT Pan used to be the best amateur in the entire world. Eventually, he's going to get that same mindset back, and he's going to be a really, really good professional golfer as well. We've seen flashes of it already, but eventually he's going to be there. And so I do like CT Pan. Obviously, I like Lahiri because he can make birdies whenever. If I had 30 GPP lineups, I'd have 5 to 10 Lahiris because he can make birdies in waves, but he's going to make some bogeys. He's a risk-reward player, and I love that reward. So those are the guys that are
What about you, Jesse? What do you like in the 6Ks?
Yeah, I mean, they're playable. The 6Ks are playable this week because the field is so strong. There's need some names down here. Glover is obviously one past champion. I do think he will be popular. My issue with some of these guys are like Glover, like what's the odds that he actually top 20s? He's not since the Honda Classic in February. So, and that's only the only time he's done it since October before that. So in order to win a big GPP, you need, I mean, I think he's a great cash game play, but the dog agrees with me.
Someone just rang the fucking doorbell.
Other than Glover, I think Mullinax is playable at 6,800. I do expect him to be a little bit popular.
Mullinax is super popular.
Yeah, my boy Shank at 67 is in play for me. And then last but not least, at 65, Sam Ryder. He's never played here, but he has been playing okay golf. And
he is solid.
Kind of miscut, top 30, miscut, type of deal. But I think he's worth a shot at 6,500 just because he's hitting a lot of greens. And if the putter gets going a little bit, he'll be there. Or he'll make the cut and potentially top 20.
Yeah, I don't disagree with those. I apologize for the dog. He's still going crazy, but Danny Lee at 6,900 is one I definitely could get behind. A good course history guy like we talked about before. If we want to talk about some others in this range, at 6,900, Grayson Murray actually playing some pretty interesting golf, and he's been showing top 15 potential. So at 6,900 bucks, I don't mind maybe going back on the Murray. Got Vaughn Taylor, Lucas Glover. I love what you mentioned. Trey Mullinax at 68 is another one. And if you want to go bargain basement hunting at 6,500 bucks, you just want a guy to make the cut like in a catch game. Davis Love the third actually plays really well here. Just throwing him out there, everybody. He plays sneaky good cut-wise here. He's not going to win you anything, but cash game, he can make a cut for you. So that wraps up our pricing picks for the week. Let's talk punts. Bucks, who do you got punting?
Oh, man. There's a lot of guys down low that are actually, like, legitimate this week, but I purposely didn't mention them, but I really do, Jesse. I love Shank this week. I really do.
He's in play.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I like Shank quite a bit as well, but other than that, Mullinax would probably be my next punt, if you want to call him that, at 68.
I think he'll be super popular. I mean, as much as you can be from a guy this low.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be looking at Lucas Glover, but I'm worried about the popularity contest, like you guys already mentioned. And then Grayson Murray's another guy I do like quite a bit down here.
Yeah.
Let's talk busts for the week. Bucks, who you got?
Busts for the week. And I mean, it's only because of potential outcome. I think Justin Thomas finishes outside the top 25.
All right. What about you, Jesse?
Shots fired. I don't know. I don't see Rory winning, so I'm gonna say Rory. I think that's kind of the easy way out for me to say Rory. But other than that, I'll say Jason Day at 10-2.
Yeah, Rory was my easy way out, but my other one I wrote down because I knew I'd get called out for that is Tiger Woods. I don't think he. I don't think he's going to have what it takes. I think it's going to be quite grinding on El Tigre. But I hope I'm proven wrong. Let's just put it that way.
I agree.
Core players for the week, Bucks, who are you looking at?
I mean, it's so difficult as we go on because there's so many guys that I gravitate towards. But core players for the week, and it really pains me to say this, I think Phil, Webb Simpson, and Adam Scott, which really, really pains me because I think he's going to be super popular.
Very possible. Jesse, who are you looking at in your core?
JT, probably Burns. I'm still kind of debating that, but
whoa.
I
mean, I may only run one lineup. So, and then other than that, I like Fleetwood and New Stays in quite a bit as well.
There's a 0% chance you run one lineup this week.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's like Buck saying he's going to run one lineup. My core is going to be Berger, Casey, and Mickelson, and I am running one lineup, and I've done that for like most of the year, so I'll stick to that. Who do you have winning this thing, Bucks?
Phil fucking Mickelson.
There you go.
I don't
He's
hate
winning.
it. I could see it. Jesse, what do you got?
Winner. I'm gonna go new PC. Tommy Fleetwood breaks through finally.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Those are two guys I could.
21 and Fleetwood's 25-1 right now on Bovada.
Hammer both of them.
I can see both of those. My easy way out's JT, but I'm not going to take that. For more of a long shot, I'm going Daniel Berger. I like Daniel Berger.
Oh, okay.
55.
So I'll throw it out there. But that'll wrap us up for your Wells Fargo week, gentlemen. Any final words?
No, enjoy the week. I mean, it's going to be such a different golf course than we saw the PGA. Just watch and take notice because it really is a different place.
What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, it'll be a fun week. Looking forward to it. Glad the regular DraftKings PGA Tour is back, and then we got the Players Championship next week. Pretty fun 2 weeks here.
Yep, going to be some fun golf. This is a really good one to watch. Good field to get us ready for the Players next week. So everybody, check out Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. Jesse's at DFS Golf Gods. I am at BDentric. Check us out on Twitter at AlwaysPressDFS. And this was your Wells Fargo Championship preview. Catch you guys next time.